Welcome back to Soundwave 2013 here in Melbourne. We have from Danko Jones, Mr. Danko Jones.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay. Well, welcome to Soundwave in Melbourne. How are you finding life as part of this travelling circus here in Australia?
It's a lot of fun, actually. You get to meet a lot of the bands and hang out with a lot of the bands. On this particular Soundwave, there's a lot of bands from Toronto. So even though we're from the same city, we don't necessarily bump into each other every day. So it's been a nice way to meet and catch up and talk and hang out with people from your hometown in Australia.
It's kind of sad when you've got to go to the other side of the world to see some of your mates, isn't it?
And there's other bands that we're friends with too, like Caius Lives and, like I said, Kingdom of Sorrow, and then there's a bunch of other, and there's also like Crew and other bands that we know, and yeah, so it's good.
Well, it's been a while. I mean, it's been, what, 10 years since you've been here?
It's been 8.5 years. Yeah,
okay.
Trust me, I've been counting it down.
You've been counting it down. And it's on the back of a brilliant new record, Rock and Roll is Black and Blue. Awesome record. No, congratulations on that. It's getting really good reviews. I mean, did you expect this feedback that it's been getting?
No, I mean, I kind of didn't expect anything, but I mean, we're kind of like a band that just sticks to its story. We don't. Yeah. We just put out hard rock records, you know, and if you like hard rock music, chances are you'll like most of our albums, you know, not all of them maybe, but most of them. And yeah, I mean, I'm just glad when people like it, but we're not exactly changing what we do, so I'm not that surprised that people who like rock like it, or people who liked our last record like it. So, unless we have a rapper in there for the next album, then I'd be really surprised people liked it. You know?
Yeah, speaking of great hard rock and really sticking to what you know best and doing it well and not really changing styles, I listen to it, and one of the first things that I hear in it is a band like AC/DC influences come out. Given we're in Australia, what Australian bands have you listened to? Have you been exposed to both past and present? What are your thoughts on the Australian music scene?
I really like the Australian music scene. I mean, aside from the obvious AC/DC, I mean, there's the Saints and the Birthday Party and Rose Tattoo. I mean, those are really easy markers for Australian bands.
Even there's a bit of Wolfmother in there somewhere.
Wolfmother is another band I like. You could probably throw in a few more. Airborne. I mean, more contemporary rock bands are coming out of Australia, like those two bands I mentioned. But then there's I like Birthday Party and the Saints as well, and I'm sure I'm missing a few other ones. I have this CD that really schooled me in terms of underground Australian bands that I got about, I think I got the last time I was here, someone gave it to me in Australia, called Tales of the Underground. Okay. It's a double, yeah, and it's just got shit like The Scientists and Radio Birdman and stuff like that.
I was going to ask, Danko Jones, the band, Danko Jones, the person, is there added pressure on you being the face of the band, the name of the band? I mean, you seem, do you see yourself as steering the ship? Or is it a lot more like, I'm going to use the word democratic behind the scenes? Or is it like, are decisions made three ways? Or is it really just you really directing the direction of this band?
Behind the scenes, it's definitely a democracy. Everybody's got an equal say from, whether we take a tour or whether we put this as the artwork or whether we split the songs evenly as well. We have since day one. But I find that, when we were starting the band, there was a lot of, back in the mid to late 90s, there was a lot of bands that had the word "the" in front of it, right? Especially in the garage rock scene that we came out of. So to differentiate ourselves from all that, we just decided to cut to the chase. The singer usually gets most of the attention anyways, and I figured, well, from how I want to walk on stage and perform, yeah, it'll happen. So we just did that. Oh shit. Yeah.
That's one thing for Australia. Like I said to one of the guys earlier, if you see something that looks like it can kill you, it probably can. And if you see something that doesn't look like it can kill you, it probably can. So yeah, just watch those bees.
Yeah, exactly. I've been schooled on that, so I'm
now
when it comes to that.
Oh, makes two of us, mate. Now you're regarded as being a person that throws themselves 100% into their work, almost like a workaholic. I mean, I just wrote out a quick list here when I was
Do you want to take
preparing.
a break? Because Kerry King's right there. His autograph?
Oh no, I got it before.
Oh, okay. Well, then,
sorry, had a quick break. I think.
I saw your CDs in your bag.
Oh no, I've got Kerry. I was looking for Tom, but anyway.
Tom's over there.
Yeah, I saw Tom. Yeah, we were supposed to interview Tom.
Trust
Ended
me,
up.
I got my iPhone on camera right now. It's ready to go.
You're just lurking it.
Yeah, let's wrap it up so I can walk over there and get a shot with Carrie. No, I'm just joking.
A real quick one. Now, like I say, you're obviously seen as being a workaholic, throwing yourself 100% into your music and everything like this. Now, just wait, at least podcasts, magazine columns, spoken word commitments, obviously the music, writing, everything like that. Anything else I've missed? How do you prioritize between everything? How do you give enough energy and attention to one thing at a time, or is it just like are things just always constantly going through there? How do you prioritize what to work on at any specific time?
I don't really play video games and watch too much TV anymore.
Yeah, haven't got time to do it anymore.
People in my band talk about Breaking Bad and the new season of Breaking Bad. I've not watched one episode. And it's due to just what you just said. Is like I busy myself with podcasts and my columns and magazines, and that takes up a lot of my free time, what little free time I do have. And then everything else is 100% banned, in terms of business.
If you had to pick one of them, though, just say someone said, Danko, you've all these things you're doing, you can only pick one to do for, I don't know, say a year or 2 or 3, what would it be?
What do you mean, besides the band? Because that's what I want to do the most.
Well, that's answered the question then. I mean, would you put aside all the podcasts, all the writing, everything like that, just to concentrate always 100% on the band and nothing else?
If I had to, I'd do that. But I mean, I don't really have any hobbies other than the podcast and the columns. I get off on writing. I love it. It's like such a release for me. But I'm able to do the podcast and write the columns because of the band. So if there's no band, there's no podcast, there's no column.
You touched on earlier about the whole Toronto scene, meeting people out here, and obviously with Canada and everything like this. One thing I thought is that some of my all-time favourite bands, they're from Canada. Bands like Rush, Triumph, things like Tragically Hip.
Nice.
Oh man, I love Triumph. Tragically Hip, through the heavier stuff, you've got Voivod, Annihilator, Devin Townsend, and also, lesser known bands.
I love all those guys.
What about Harum Scarum, things like that? I don't know if you've heard of them. Oh man.
Yeah, we recorded a bit of Born a Lion at Harry's studio.
Yeah. Oh, Harum Scarum is awesome. I was just going to ask, what is it about the Canada or the music scene in Canada that produces such consistently good talent?
I could say the same with Australia. I mean, you've named a bunch of bands that cover about 30 to 40 years. So, any place after 40 years of being exposed to popular music should yield that much, if not more bands. And there are way more bands to name, but we just don't have time. But yeah, those are definitely some of my favorites that you named. So same with Australia.
Yeah, I mean, just the music. Every time I see a band that's from Canada, I'm going, know what? This either going to be really, really good or just good. But that's just me. When I see you play live, or you give it 100%, which is you leave everything out there on stage, which is how it should be. But also, you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't do drugs. Is that really so you can put everything into your performance, or is it the other way around? Or
no, I found out about Minor Threat when I was 14, and it inspired me to just not drink and not do drugs. I went through a phase where, like everybody, I never had a curiosity for drinking, but drugs I did. I did go through a phase where I was, doing drugs and stuff, and I liked it, but I couldn't handle my high. Some people aren't, made for it, and I'm not.
Predisposition to it,
Yeah, and I accept it, but I'm not against it. I'm totally against for the legalization of marijuana. Yeah. Definitely. I think everybody, at least once, should try magic mushrooms. Yeah. I don't know if I can say that, but I just did.
It's MetalObsession. You can say anything you want. A really quick one is I've seen interviews where you've said, you're not here to sightsee. You're here, to pretty much kick ass, take names, and put everything into your shows, everything like that. Given the way that Soundwave is set up in the downtime between shows and everything like that, and I know you're doing some stuff out here with Duff as well in terms of side shows, what are you doing in your downtime?
Trying to meet my deadlines for my editors in my hotel room and writing, and I've done 4 podcasts while I've been out here. We just did one with Duff yesterday. Me and Damien Abraham from Fucked Up did a podcast with Duff and with Chris Jericho. I did a podcast with Ian from Sum 41 and Cone from Ian from Billy Talent and Cone from Sum 41 together, and I did one with Grant Bjork a few days ago from Caius Lives. So I'm pretty busy as well.
Yeah, it's like no rest for the wicked, as we say.
No, I prefer it. I mean, I'm going to be on tour for 7 weeks, and I gotta stockpile these podcasts, you know.
Also, but with that, with the whole touring and everything like that, what is the what are the plans going forward? I mean, here I know we're at the start of 2013. We're on Soundwave, the album's out, it's doing good, and you're touring it and everything like that. Any, no, I guess, ambition or hope of coming out and doing like a headlining set or something like that?
Well, if people in Australia hear about us and there's someone who wants to bring us back, we're more than willing to come back. I mean, we will come back in a heartbeat. You know, and that's how we got on here, is because Australian people kept going, why aren't you playing Australia? And I go, I just finally got sick of the tweets, and I finally tweeted back. And I said, look, if you can find someone who's willing to bring us over here, we will pack our bags and we will come to Australia. And that's what happened. That's why we're here. So, yeah, if we can come back on our own, come back for Soundwave, whatever, in any capacity, we will be here.
And Soundwave's got a really big lineup this year. It's an awesome lineup, amazing lineup. Any bands that you want to check out that you haven't seen yet? Well,
yeah, I mean, I want to check out Ghost. We checked out a little bit of Kingdom of Sorrow, Tomahawk, and Red Fang, and Sick of It All, Gallows. I've seen Fucked Up already twice, and Anthrax I haven't seen yet. So.
Just wondering, is there anything else you wanted to sign off and say to the people watching this at MetalObsession?
Yeah, I got a podcast on iTunes. It's called the Official Danko Jones Podcast. I have a column in Huffington Post every week. Look for it. And we've got a new album out called Rock and Roll is Black and Blue. Check it out.
Danko, thanks a lot for your time. It's been an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.